So we have just received a statement which Buckingham Palace say is issued on behalf of Her Majesty the Queen. The statement says, "The whole family is saddened to learn the full extent of how challenging..."
Right as the world thought the royal feud was simmering down, Buckingham Palace dropped a bombshell that shook both sides of the Atlantic. In a statement officially issued on behalf of Her Majesty the Queen, the tone was icy, deliberate, and unmistakably directed at Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. It wasn't just a press release, it was a declaration, and not just any declaration. A calculated strategic strike that might just be the beginning of the end for the Sussex's global PR machine. Before we dive deep into the shocking details and what this means for Meghan and Harry's future, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. This channel brings you the truth behind the headlines uncensored, untwisted, and unfiltered. Don't miss what's coming next. The statement began with what sounded like compassion. The whole family is saddened to learn the full extent of how challenging, but within seconds, the tone shifted. Those 3 words exploded across every major British headline: The Times, Daily Mail, even BBC News featured it front and center. But what did it mean? Because this wasn't just a symbolic gesture, it was a loaded message, one that seemed to confirm what many had suspected for months. That the royal family had been quietly watching, documenting, and preparing for Meghan and Harry. Panic mode behind the polished Instagram photos and glossy red carpet appearances. Insiders say the couple's team scrambled to decode the meaning. Was this a threat? A legal warning? A final warning shot from the institution they once fled? One thing's clear. This wasn't spontaneous. It was methodically timed and brutally worded in the palace's usual fashion of never complain, never explain. This rare public intervention signaled something much deeper. Sources inside Buckingham Palace suggest the tipping point wasn't just about the infamous Oprah interview or the Netflix documentaries. No, the red line was crossed when Meghan and Harry began quietly shopping around a new royal-themed streaming project, a pseudo-documentary that dramatizes real royal conversations, without ever clearing it with the palace. According to insiders from Netflix's production offices, this new pitch was set to blend reenactments, fictionalized dialogue, and the Sussex's personal reflections. But here's the catch. Many of the scenes being developed were based on confidential conversations held before their royal exit. Conversations that were never meant to see the light of day. And the palace? They're not amused. In fact, their legal team considers it a direct breach of confidentiality, one that could carry severe consequences, especially now that they've publicly drawn the line in the sand. But that's only part of the story. What few realize is that this palace statement was months in the making. Sources reveal that palace legal teams had already been quietly tracking everything from Harry's book Spare, to Meghan's lifestyle projects, to the use of royal motifs on their website and merchandise. This wasn't just about Netflix, it was about the bigger picture. The royal brand being repackaged, commercialized, and sold back to the world by 2 people who vowed to walk away from it. Even Meghan's so-called wine empires ever hasn't escaped scrutiny. The brand, which avoided using the word Duchess, still leaned heavily into royal aesthetics. Descriptions like crafted with nobility and bottle designs echoing crown patterns weren't missed. The palace saw it, and they're not staying silent anymore. Royal insiders claim that even King Charles personally chaired a confidential strategy session, nearly 3 weeks before the statement was released. During the meeting, he reportedly said, "This isn't personal, it's preservation," and that's exactly what this is. An institution, centuries old, defending its legacy from what it now views as a sustained assault from within. Meanwhile, Meghan's memoir project, once whispered to be in the final stages of negotiation, has now hit a sudden standstill. Insiders from the publishing industry say legal pressure from royal advisors has forced the deal to be paused indefinitely. And what was in that memoir? Allegedly, private details of conversations with Queen Elizabeth, unfiltered commentary on racism within the family, and her truth about royal life. But with today's statement, that truth may never see the light of day. And if that wasn't enough, perhaps the most telling sign of change came from a man who once welcomed them with open arms: Tyler Perry. Once seen as the couple's Hollywood guardian angel, the billionaire filmmaker is now noticeably silent. Insiders close to Perry say he feels betrayed after discovering that his generosity was being subtly used as leverage in the couple's narrative. While he once provided them with a safe haven and private security, he's now reportedly declined to renew any public support. A quiet but powerful exit that speaks louder than any statement. Without Perry's backing, the Sussexes face a critical blow. Financially, publicly, symbolically, but it doesn't stop there. An internal document allegedly circulating within royal communications outlines a timeline of PR manipulation by the Sussex camp highlighting contradictions between their interviews and official palace records. One specific note accuses Meghan's team of pre-approving sympathy-triggering questions for the Oprah interview, a revelation that, if confirmed, could shatter the last remnants of credibility. The statement "We see you now" takes on chilling new weight, and as Harry tried unsuccessfully to re-enter royal events under the guise of charity and remembrance, palace insiders say his requests have been flatly denied. One such event, a military-focused fundraiser, was reportedly turned down for fear it could become content for a future Netflix special. The palace is closing the door, firmly, permanently. And this isn't just about personal conflict, it's about institutional preservation. The monarchy has decided no more half in, half out. No more profit by association. From this point forward, the crown is all. As the dust from the palace's shocking statement settles, the aftershocks are rippling across the globe. What started as a seemingly polite royal communication has detonated into a full-scale public reckoning. And this time, the public isn't staying quiet across the UK, Australia, and even parts of the US. Social media platforms are erupting with hashtags like "We See You," "No More," and "Protect the Crown." For years, royalists have been pleading with Buckingham Palace to stop turning the other cheek, to finally confront what they see as a constant barrage of manipulation, media stunts, and narrative control coming from Montecito, because for once, the crown clapped back. Even traditional media outlets that once tread lightly around the Sussex saga are changing their tone. One segment described the palace's move as a necessary course correction to preserve the dignity of the monarchy. Another analyst called it the Queen's posthumous counterattack. And when even the neutral players start picking sides, it's a signal. The tide has turned. What's particularly telling is the silence on the Sussex side. No tweets, no podcast rebuttals, quotes, just silence. And in the world of Meghan and Harry, who've built their post-royal identity on speaking their truth, that silence is deafening. Sources close to the couple say are combing through past contracts, statements, and digital footprints to assess what's at risk. One insider even claimed that several former Netflix collaborators have begun to distance themselves, fearing legal blowback if it's proven they used confidential palace content without consent. But perhaps the most devastating part for Meghan and Harry isn't legal, it's emotional. According to royal aides, King Charles's statement, although veiled in formal language, was the first time the monarch publicly acknowledged the extent of the rift. Come back into the fold, because while the media focused on Meghan's memoir and the Netflix drama, Harry had been working behind the scenes. Insiders confirmed that he'd reached out multiple times to participate in royal military events, charitable initiatives, and even ceremonial functions. Involvement from Harry could later be monetized into content, soundbites, or documentaries. And after everything that's happened, they're not willing to take that risk again. One aide summed it up bluntly. This isn't exile, it's closure, and the message from the palace, crystal clear. If you walk away, you don't get to walk back in when it's profitable. Meghan, meanwhile, is said to be reassessing her brand strategy. With the memoir on pause, Tyler Perry out of the picture. Say she's overwhelmed. Her once bulletproof narrative of a misunderstood outsider trying to speak. Her truth is crumbling under the weight of contradictions and investigations. Take, for example, the As Ever wine brand. At first glance, it's elegant, harmless, and marketed as a celebration of modern femininity. But royal legal observers note concerning overlap symbols that echo royal crests, phrases that flirt with aristocratic language, and marketing strategies that lean heavily on her former Duchess status without saying it outright. It's subtle, but not subtle enough. Insiders claim palace lawyers are already building a case to challenge these commercial ventures, an exploitation of her former title. She may be forced to rebrand the entire business move that could cost millions, but it's not just about products and operated on discretion, loyalty, and tradition. And whether one agrees with those values or not, Meghan and Harry's relentless content rollout from Oprah to Netflix to podcasts has shattered that code. What the palace is signaling now is that the era of quiet tolerance is over, and the gloves are off. Meanwhile, royal historians believe this moment marks a historic precedent. Never before has the crown issued such a direct, piercing rebuke to a former member of the royal family. It sets a new tone for how the monarchy will respond to what it views as unauthorized exploitation. One historian even likened it to a royal cease-and-desist wrapped in a velvet glove. And let's not forget the internal damage this has caused. Within the family, Prince William, already deeply protective of the institution, is reportedly furious about the ongoing drama. He views Harry's actions as a betrayal, not just to the family, but to the nation. According to palace staff, and while the brothers once shared an unbreakable bond, that relationship may now be beyond repair. But perhaps the most sobering reality for Harry and Meghan is this: their brand is losing value. What once felt like a cultural movement to royals, breaking free from tradition to tell their truth, now feels overexposed, oversaturated, and increasingly untrustworthy. Public fatigue is real. Even fans who once defended the couple are starting to question the motives behind each interview, podcast, and product. How many truths can you sell before people stop buying? In Montecito, things are changing fast. Without the palace's silent tolerance, without Tyler Perry's backing, and without the media's default sympathy, the Sussex machine is starting to rust. In this palace statement, just 84 words. Long might have been the hammer that finally cracked it open, because we see you wasn't just a statement. Behind the palace gates, things are no longer business as usual. It's a full-scale containment operation, one aimed at reclaiming royal dignity from what many insiders now. Royal Channels outlines a comprehensive investigation. This report allegedly includes interviews, podcasts, scripts from Netflix proposals. Each element is being combed over by legal specialists to identify where lines have been crossed and what can be done to rein them back in. One legal expert tied to the Crown remarked, "It's not just about what they're saying, it's about what they're implying and how they're profiting off the suggestion of royal proximity." For Meghan, the implications are massive. Her commercial empire, which once seemed poised to rival Goop or even Kim Kardashian's SKK, is now under serious legal threat. Of Duchess status, she may be required to completely restructure her branding, alter marketing campaigns, and pull products from certain regions. Some insiders say her team has already begun quietly reworking branding language behind the scenes, especially in UK-based listings. One marketing advisor who worked with her briefly described the atmosphere as nervous chaos. Everyone knows the palace doesn't move quickly, but when it does, it moves decisively. But the most shocking twist of all, close to King Charles's private staff, he reportedly told aides that the family must implement new protocols to ensure no future royal can capitalize on their title post-exit. These new protocols are said to include automatic title suspension upon royal departure, agreements for senior royals, limitations on brand partnerships for former working royals, pre-approval requirements for public-facing content, title usage restrictions in international commerce. If true, this marks a massive shift in how the monarchy will deal with internal defection and reputation management. And while Harry and Meghan remain free agents in the US, the UK is tightening its grip on what it calls the integrity of the institution. So far, they've remained publicly silent, but internally, the damage control is relentless. Reports indicate that Meghan's legal team is reviewing multiple contingency options, including moving her product base outside of jurisdictions that recognize image from Duchess, references to prevent further conflict. Harry, to the couple, stated they didn't expect the palace to fight back. But now, with the door firmly bolted and the public tide shifting, a dramatic swing in public opinion. While sympathy for Meghan surged after the Oprah interview in 2021, support has steadily declined in the years since. Now, for the first time, focusing on her fashion or philanthropy rather than her. Sources from within his Atlanta-based studio say Perry felt used at his mansion as the healing chapter in their post-royal narrative. It's personal. And that's the dangerous part for the Sussex brand, because everything they've built in the last 4 years depends on one thing: access. Access to influence, access to sympathy, access to the symbolic power of being royal without any of the obligations. But now, the monarchy is cutting off the power source, and without it, the Netflix deals, the Spotify contracts, we know, walked away completely, citing low engagement and content misalignment. And publishing insiders say that even Meghan's memoir, should it eventually see the light of day, may be DOA, unless dramatically altered. It's a stunning fall from grace. From royal fairy tale to Hollywood power couple, to now, possibly, irrelevance. And the palace. What started as compassion is now containment. And for Meghan and Harry, the game is changing fast. Beneath the glossy PR smiles and perfectly lit Instagram selfies, something's shifting in Montecito. Sources close to the Sussex inner circle describe an atmosphere that's no longer energized or inspired, but tense, paranoid, and deeply fractured. Because while the public sees curated content, those behind the scenes are witnessing what some call the implosion of the Sussex brand. The truth is, the pressure is mounting, not just from outside forces like the palace or the media, but internally from the weight of expectation, scrutiny, and the slowly crumbling foundation of their post-royal empire. Insiders have noted that Harry and Meghan are no longer in sync. Behind closed doors, one staffer claimed that the couple argue frequently over which direction to take their projects. Harry reportedly favors quieter, meaningful work, while Meghan is determined to keep their brand in the spotlight. And in a world driven by streaming deals, book advances, and product lines, silence is not an option. But neither is overexposure. It's a branding paradox they can't escape, and the cracks are showing. Their once loyal fan base, dubbed the Sussex Squad, is thinning out. A vocal segment remains, but engagement across their media platforms has noticeably declined. Even the Archetypes podcast, once hailed as Meghan's powerful foray into content, was quietly pulled from Spotify without renewal. The show's promise of giving voice to the voiceless never quite landed. And Spotify's public statements confirmed the reality. Low numbers, low interest, low retention. Now, Meghan's team is reportedly scrambling to repurpose parts of her canceled memoir into a visual streaming project that leans more into lifestyle and less into royalty. But here's the problem. Without the royal angle, what's left to market? A former actress with a failed podcast and a now legally sensitive title? It's not the Hollywood fairy tale they promised the world. And financially, the danger signs. Our flashing sources say the couple's lavish Montecito estate costs upwards of $100,000 a month to maintain, including staff, security, landscaping, and luxury amenities. Their income, once boosted by Netflix and book deals, is now less predictable. One entertainment analyst said they were counting on legacy cash flow revenue from books, content, and brand deals riding on royal fame. But that cash flow is stalling, with Tyler Perry gone and other powerful allies like Oprah remaining publicly silent. The support system they once had is vanishing, and without institutional backing or powerful PR, Hollywood can be cold and unforgiving, especially when scandal hits. And let's not forget the elephant in the room, the looming threat of legal action. Multiple attorneys with experience in UK, constitutional law, and branding litigation have stated that the monarchy could sue not for damages, then for forced retraction or rebranding. And while such a move would be extreme, the palace's recent tone suggests they're not bluffing. The biggest risk lies in retrospective content projects already released that contain unverified claims, dramatized conversations, or unauthorized references to the Queen and other senior royals. If even one scene in a Netflix episode is proven to breach confidentiality agreements, it could open the floodgates. Meghan's team knows this. That's why internal meetings are now reviewing content already released in effort to prepare for potential legal defense or public clarification. One insider said, "They're preparing for the worst-case scenario, because now, for the first time, the palace is fighting back with strategy and the psychological toll it's showing." Harry, once the cheeky, rebellious royal, is said to be withdrawn and emotionally distant. Friends describe him as caught in a storm he didn't see coming. His attempts to reach out to Charles and William, once hopefuller, now viewed as non-starters by the palace. The door is closed. His last public request to speak at a royal military charity event was formally declined. That's not just a rejection, it's a statement for Meghan. The stress is different. Those close to her say she's in survival mode, restructuring her business, revising content plans, and strategizing how to keep their brand afloat without looking desperate. But desperation is hard to hide. She's reportedly contacted multiple lifestyle influencers and brand strategists to relaunch under a new identity, possibly even rebranding away from her married name entirely. There's talk of a pivot to wellness and healing narratives, content focused on personal empowerment, not royalty. It's a smart strategy, but it's also a sign. Meghan Markle may finally be preparing for life after the Duchess identity. Meanwhile, inside the palace, the atmosphere is more measured. Sources say King Charles has instructed his team to stay calm, strategic, and legal. The goal isn't public shaming, it's quiet accountability. Charles reportedly told aides, "We don't need to fight in the press. We need to protect the crown and protect it." They are. One royal biographer speculated that if Harry and Meghan cross one more legal line, the palace may invoke a total ban on title usage or even seek to have them stripped of their Sussex designation entirely, a nuclear option. Yes, but one that's now on the table. So what happens next? That's the $1,000,000 or perhaps $100 million question. Because this isn't just about royalty. It's about reputation, power, and the battle between truth and perception. If Meghan and Harry continue down this road, publishing, producing, and profiting off their royal connections, palace may escalate. And if the couple backs down, they risk losing the very narrative they've built their empire upon. It's a lose-lose scenario, one that both sides tried to avoid. But now, the war has started and the world is watching. Asterisk, if you've made it this far, you already know this isn't just gossip, it's a live unfolding saga that could reshape royal history. Make sure you subscribe, tap the bell, and leave a comment below. Whose side are you on? Is the palace reclaiming its dignity, or Harry and Meghan being silenced for telling the truth? The The next chapter is coming, and it may just be the most explosive one yet.